Hi, this is Pat Johnson, your psychology instructor, and in this mini lecture we're going to talk about the sleep-wake cycle, sleep stages, and disorders. So first of all, how do we gather this information? How do we even know that there are sleep stages? We do this by measuring activity in the body, and that can be measuring brain waves using an electroencephalogram, an EEG. It could also be done by having electrodes measuring movement, either near the eyes for detecting eye movement while we sleep, or sometimes electrodes are put on the legs for a disorder called restless leg syndrome, and to see how much we move around when we are sleeping. So if you ever go to a sleep disorders clinic because you believe you have insomnia, sleep apnea, or some other sleep disorder, you will be hooked up like this person here, and you will have electrodes coming out showing eye movement. You will have electrodes for an EEG and muscle tension. So this is from your textbook, and we can see a person hooked up for a sleep study. Now, this is also going by the sleep stages that we see in your textbook. Let me warn you that if you go out seeking other information from the internet, that you will notice that most people do not have these stages. They have REM, and they have stages 1, 2, 3, and 4, but your author has these stages, so we'll go with what your textbook has. All right, so this is for a young adult, which most of my students fall into. We'll also look at a typical sleep-wake cycle for an older adult. So let's take a look at what's going on here. So first of all, you are awake but relaxed. You're laying down. You are tired. You are getting ready to fall asleep. And as you fall asleep, notice what's going on here. You go from awake all the way down into the first stage you go and spend any time in is non-REM 1. So we go from awake to non-REM 1 when we first fall asleep. This axis down here is hours of sleep. So within the first hour of sleep, you go from awake to non-REM 1 to non-REM 2 down to non-REM 3. And non-REM 3 is the deepest stage of sleep. This is really deep sleep. We are hard to wake up here. We are breathing slowly. Our heart is beating slowly. We are really, really deeply asleep. But within that first hour, hour and a half, we start climbing back up. We go from non-REM 3 to non-REM 2. We may spend a little time in non-REM 1, but we go up to this stage of sleep called REM. So REM is not the first stage. We only get into REM usually after we've gone through a cycle down into deep sleep, and we come up and we have just a little bit of REM, and as we know, REM stands for rapid eye movement. And that's exactly what's going on. We can see this in our pets sometimes. I know my dog will experience rapid eye movement that I can observe. And what's cool about rapid eye movement is this is dream sleep. So our dreams occur in REM, and we only have a little burst of REM until we go back down into deep sleep. And so within the first couple hours, we're into our second sleep-wake cycle. We're into our second sleep cycle, and we have gone into deep sleep, and we climb back up. Now look what's going on here. The REM is getting longer, and if you notice, here's a little bit of REM, here's a little bit more of REM, here's a little bit more of REM. REM increases as the night progresses. That's important to know because you don't want to deprive yourself of REM by depriving yourself of a full night's sleep. This is showing that this particular person, when this reading was done, woke up here. Maybe they went to the bathroom. Maybe they looked at their clock or phone for a second, and then they went right back to sleep. They went into deep sleep for a little bit, and they came back up, and they had more REM. Going back down, awaking a little bit, and then more REM as the night goes on. So we're into about 6 hours of sleep here, and whether or not you remember any of these dreams that occur during REM depends on whether or not you wake up during REM. So this person is going to remember this dream here because they woke up here, but if the person had woken up here, they probably would have reported that they didn't dream that night because they didn't wake up during a dream. But for all intent and purposes, most people have numerous periods of REM during the night. REM increases as the night progresses. So, sleep stages. Let's talk about REM a little bit. Again, that's rapid eye movement, and what we see is the eyes darting back and forth behind the eyelids. And the cool thing, the paradox, is that the brain is really active while the body is paralyzed during REM. So again, REM sleep is dream sleep. So if you've ever had a dream where maybe you couldn't get away from the bad guy, or you couldn't push the brake down on a car that was out of control in your dream, it's because your body's paralyzed. And some people, when they wake up during a dream, that paralysis lasts for a few seconds before they can move again, and that's really kind of disturbing to people because it feels like they are paralyzed. REM sleep is good sleep. We need REM to be healthy. If we keep waking somebody up during REM sleep, they're going to feel like they had no sleep at all. We need that REM sleep. Lots of good things happen then. Growth hormone is given off. Memories are made more durable in the brain. We need REM to function and to be healthy. So, what is a nightmare? A nightmare is just a bad dream, and this is going to occur during REM. So during REM, when we have a bad dream, it's called a nightmare, and that's just fairly normal. All right, let's talk about our non-REM stages. Remember, going back to this diagram here, we had awake, REM, non-REM 1, non-REM 2, and non-REM 3. So let's talk about those non-REM stages. So in non-REM 3, we have our deepest stage of sleep. And this is where some sleep disorders like sleepwalking, sleep talking, and sleep terrors can happen. A sleep terror is not a bad dream. Sleep terrors usually occur in little kids, maybe 3, 4 years old, maybe a little bit older. And what a sleep terror looks like is the child will often sit up, they'll be screaming, they'll be breathing hard, their eyes will be open. And it freaks out the parent because the parent sees a child in great distress. And it's a sleep terror. It's not a bad dream. It's a sleep terror. And this is a period of extreme autonomic arousal. In other words, that sympathetic division of the nervous system is highly activated, and it's happening while the child is asleep. So the child, you can wake the child up, they'll go back to sleep, they won't remember anything, but your night has usually been trashed because it's so disturbing to see your child in that amount of distress. Non-REM 3 decreases with age. And if we look at our chart here of older adults, we can see that our older adult only goes into non-REM 3 a little bit, and what's happening is they are having more and more periods of waking up. So our older adults are getting less quality sleep. There's less REM sleep and there's less non-REM sleep here, and so we are more likely to see sleep disorders in older adults. And that's the sleep-wake cycle and the sleep stages.